So you purchase your brand new AK rifle and you're looking at it and you are not sure what to do with it because it is completely different machine than your AR-15. Come with me, we'll learn something new today about it. So you purchase your brand new AK rifle and you noticed after opening the box at FFL that it looks differently than your AR-15. Fear not, we'll try to help you to plow through that initial shock and make you a better user of AK rifle. Let me talk for a second about the most common complaint from the AKs. The people complain that they are hard on the user because of the more powerful recoil. And this is correct. Please remember that the round 7.62 by 39, it's bigger than the 556 by 45. And literally the impulse shockwave goes that way and the bolt carrier and bolt are traveling on the rails. And the only thing between you and that impulse is recoil spring. So the AK is not using a buffer like AR-15, which helps to absorb the recoil. Also, very often the AKs are sold with a so-called slant brake, which is not providing that much of the relief on the recoil side. Here I have the simple Fighter 47, and even that simple brake provides a really nice recoil softening point, let me put it that way. But I just want to make you aware that yes, you're going to feel more recoil because it is more powerful cartridge. There's nothing wrong with the rifle. However, it is true that a lot of AKs is sold overgassed, but we'll deal with it later. So let me see what we can show you as far as disassembling the rifle. Of course, the rifle will ship without the magazine, and even before the first time shooting, you should disassemble the rifle and really check the bore inside the barrel, because I will tell you right away, if you are buying the rifle like from Century Arms, the Yugos, NPAPs, or even the Wassars, what they do, they enlarge the magazine well. Because of our import laws, we cannot import the AK with the original configuration, of course. So they do some work, they enlarge that magazine well to basically accept the AK magazines. And what is happening, I don't know how they are doing, but very often you can find the metal chips inside the receiver gas tube or even inside the barrel. So the good idea is, of course, when you are receiving the rifle, just pop the hood, and we're doing this by pressing the release button on the dust cover, and dust cover is just basically a sheet of the metal, and this is the recoil spring I was talking about. To remove the recoil spring, all you have to do is depress here, push it forward towards the end of the barrel, and then you can remove it and pull it out. And we have a recoil spring removed. Now I will lower the safety lever down, which will allow me to remove the bolt and the bolt carrier. Notice that I click down the trigger hammer to clear the way for the bolt carrier. To remove the bolt carrier, basically pull it slowly by the charging handle, and the bolt carrier will jump out from the rails at the end of the receiver. Now notice I have the bolt carrier and the bolt in my hands. To remove the bolt from the bolt carrier, simply push it backwards, rotate, and boom, we have the bolt separated from the bolt carrier. For now, I will put them aside, both parts. I talk a little bit about the safety lever. Some people are complaining that on their new AKs, that safety lever is very stiff and it's hard to manipulate simply with the fingers. The easiest trick to fix that problem is basically move the safety lever to the 90 degrees like this, and then to release the tension by pushing with your thumbs safety lever away. If your safety is too floppy, and by too floppy I mean it starts moving from the recoil, you will do the reverse thing. You will pull the safety lever, you will grab it like this, and you will pull the safety lever towards your body. If you need more information about the safety levers and the efficient ways of using the safety, check our video dedicated to the safety levers. Link will be in the video description. But at this point, when you have the bolt carrier and the bolt removed, inspect the receiver for any pieces of the metal, as I said, or any obstructions for any kind of rifle. Now, check the chamber as well. That's a good practice with any new rifles. Now, to remove the gas tube, guys, to remove the gas tube is extremely easy on the older rifles, because usually that lever is very worked out and it's easy to pull that lever up and remove the gas tube. If that lever will give you some trouble and it's very hard because it's new, don't use pliers. I see some people are taking pliers and very often they crank them too much and they break those levers. What I do often is I use the slot on the bolt carrier, which perfectly matches that lever for the gas tube. And now I'm using this as a leverage, and look, I rotate it and the lever is free and the gas tube should come out. On some of the rifles, because it's a new equipment and that gas block was pushed really tight, that could be a little bit difficult, but trust me, wiggle it, pull it out, and that gas tube should come out. Now, since we have the gas tube free in our hands, to do the pirate basically and look through the gas tube, or look through the gas tube and make sure there are no debris or any kind of dirt or whatever from the production or from the assembly. If you find any pieces inside the gas tube, you can use the 12 gauge brush from the 12 gauge shotgun and basically brush it out. Don't worry about spotless clean. This will always get dirty because of the gases traveling that way. So, but make sure before shooting that this is really clean. Also, now we have the exposed gas block. Make sure there is nothing inside the gas block. Do not oil the gas block. Some people are putting the oil. That's a very bad idea. This always should be dry. So dry it out, clean it, use the compressed air to blow any dirt and make sure there is nothing inside. Now we will do the weird thing. We'll basically look through the barrel from the receiving end. So make sure, don't be stupid, that there is no cartridge inside the chamber. Otherwise, you will be facing a natural selection. So now I have a nice look into the bore of the rifle and I'm seeing there is nothing in the barrel. If you have any dirt, garbage inside the barrel, basically run the brush through it. The 308 works very well. You can use the bore snake as well, pull it out and basically be done with it and clean the barrel. You should never shoot with any pieces of the dirt or like I said, those metal chips in the barrel, because you can permanently damage the bore, or it can, you may face some other catastrophic events connected to it. All right, let's continue to talk about what else you can do. As you can see, this is a cleaning rod. How you can pull out the cleaning rod. Basically pull it away from the rifle and start pushing up away from the rifle, and the cleaning rod will walk away. As you can see in the lower handguard, we do have a hole. That hole let us align the cleaning rod when in the retainer when we are pushing the cleaning rod back together. And as you can see, because of the length of the cleaning rod, some of the piece of the cleaning rod goes inside the receiver underneath of the rear trunnion. So now when we have the cleaning rod removed, it's easy sometimes to push that lever out for the retainer, and this will free up the retainer, which you should push it away from the center of the rifle, and then you can free up the lower handguard. Right now my retainer is that lever is still very stiff. So what I'm going to do is you can use either the you can actually use the gas tube. You can use that edge of the gas tube and try to wiggle it, and that one is not going to work because it went too low. We can try and use the dust cover on some of the rifles, and that will work in my case. See, I'm using the dust cover to pull it out, and now my lever is completely open. You can use even the flat screwdriver, okay? I just don't want to go and bring any tools. So the retainer is out, and you can basically wiggle it out the lower handguard, and it's there. Either you have wooden ones or you have the polymer ones, no big deal. And as you can see, this is totally exposed rifle, and everything from the basic components is removed. The only thing what we would like to deal with it right now will be our muzzle device. To remove the muzzle device, you have to depress the retention pin. Pin is basically, it's a spring-loaded pin, and remember, on those rifles, this type of the rifle, you have 14-1 left-handed thread. Okay, so I'm pushing this and I'm going in the opposite way in order to remove the muzzle brake, and boom, there you go. This is exposed thread, and that's basically how the barrel is looking like. On the newer rifles, so-called 100 series or Arsenal, most of the Arsenal rifles, you will find the 24mm thread. As you can see, this is much fatter end of the barrel, and again, you have to depress that pin, and this is the 24mm right-handed thread, so we will go in opposite way. Let me see if I can again use that cleaning rod to push it down, and yep, I was able to push the retainer pin down and free up the brake, and there you go. See, I'm going into the opposite direction as I did on this rifle, but this is exactly what I was talking about. You can clearly see and compare the front ends. So in my left hand, this is a 14-1. In my right hand, it's a 24mm right-handed thread. It's impossible, it's absolutely impossible to mix them up because of the size. And just to show you, on the muzzle device's end, this is a big hole and a small hole. Big hole, small hole. There you go, guys. So at this point, we have disassembled the rifle basically to the you can call it the field strip. If you want to remove the stock, you have 2 stock screws for the either polymer or the wooden stocks. It doesn't matter which one you will remove the first, but you have to untie them and then wiggle the stock back. It could be very difficult on the polymer stocks because they are pressed really tight, but remember, there is not much what you can screw up. Just get it out if you have to. And to remove the pistol grip, usually at the bottom of the pistol grip you have a screw, and there is a screw nut on the top, and this is regular thread. You basically untwisting, and you have to pull it out, screw completely, and this will remove the screw from the receiver. We will talk in another episode about working on the trigger group and what you can do with the trigger group, but this is not very complicated as well, because the trigger group is basically resting on the 2 levers, 2 pins, not levers, 2 pins, and it's very easy to remove and work, but that's the material for the next episode. All right, now I will put everything back together and we'll talk about the few things as far as zeroing your rifle and working with the iron sights. I forgot to talk to you guys also about the problems which you may encounter with the wooden stocks. Over the time, those screws, they have a nasty habit of kind of, working out their way inside the holes, and what is happening, they start untwisting or even coming out. The easiest way to fix this problem is basically take a piece of wood or something, use the knife, slice it to small chips and put it vertically inside the hole and then tighten it the screws. Basically wood works with wood and the screw will have more resistance to hold up to that screw. Another trick could be you can add some sort of the thick glue on the screw to create more friction and twist in screw to the hole. Let me go back inside for the second tube. Very often people are complaining on the new AK rifles that they are experiencing a wiggling of the piston head on the bolt carrier group, and as you can see that one is wiggling as well, but this is absolutely normal, guys. This is the rivet. Sometimes you can find them that they are twisted in and then protected with the rivet or the pin, but most of the AKs will have the piston head like this, and that's absolutely normal. That wobbling is normal, so there is nothing to worry about. Also, some guys are complaining, and this is a kind of chromed finish, so you cannot really see it, but like on the Arsenal rifles, for example, Wasser rifles, when you have this bolt carrier in black, you can see that the finish is being stripped up here in this area, and people are having a heart attack about it. Again, that's absolutely normal. If just the finish is gone, I wouldn't worry about it at all. As far as removing and working on a bolt, that's probably going to be a different episode, but I will tell you right away that for working on the bolt, the best way is just to have a regular AK cleaning kit, because inside the cleaning kit you have tools needed to quickly and safely disassemble the bolt, but it's very simple procedure. You're basically pushing the two pins out. You will first push the pin from the bottom, that will free up your firing pin, and then you're removing another pin which will allow to remove the extractor claw and the spring inside. But we'll do a special episode in another down the road with the series about the bolt, and we'll talk about the different bolts and what kind of firing pins we have and so on. Now, as far as lubricating the AK, guys, there is no magic. I use very often just the regular CLP. I like to put a little bit, few drops of the oil inside the channel, of course then on the edges where the bolt carrier is traveling on the rails, and as far as for the bolt, I just put it over here and maybe a little bit at the bottom, and then just the finger smudge of the few drops for the bolt body down the line, so when it rotates it's a little bit smoother motion. But the brutal truth is, guys, that the AK can survive without any lubrication for a long time. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't lubricate. If you have a chance, keep it lubricated. Also, you can put the few drops of the oil on the rails, the top rails and the bottom rails. However, please remember that if you live in a really dusty environment, like maybe in Nevada desert, you don't want to put a lot of oil. You want to keep your rifle more on the dry side, because that oil will attract all that very thin sand. And I spent some time in the desert environment, and it really gets into the action and everything. So keeping the rifle on the dry side helps to prevent that. You can still use the oil, just don't use it a lot. All right, so I'll put it back together and we'll talk about the iron sights. So again, you first place the bolt carrier on the rails, squeeze it down, push it forward, then the recoil springs goes inside, and I'll show you the basic trick. A lot of people, for some strange reason, struggles with the dust cover. What I do is, there is a slot here right beneath of the rear post, rear leaf, and I line the front end of the dust cover with that slot first, and then of course you have to work on that button, release button. So what I'm doing is I'm pressing down over the release button, and my dust cover jumps perfectly into the slot in the rear trunnion. And that's pretty much it. Function check. I rack the rifle, put the safety on, point into the safe direction, squeeze the trigger, nothing. I lower the safety down, click, just like you like it. I'm holding now the trigger. I rack the action. You should release the trigger and you should hear the click. This is the click. The trigger is aimed, armed, not aimed, armed again. And if you'll press it again, it goes on. Now I move the safety up and the rifle is ready to rock and roll and have some fun down the range. Let's talk about adjusting the iron sights right now. For some strange reason, those iron sights on AK rifle cause a lot of headaches for the users inside the United States. But fear not, there is nothing really complicated to it. These sights are in metric system. So all the distances marked on the rear leaf, which you have 100, 200, 300 and so on, are in meters. So if I'll move the slider, and I'm doing this by squeezing both ends and moving the slider to 100, I am at the 100 meters, 200 meters, 300 meters and so on. On some of the rifles, that rear leaf marks will go all the way to 10, which will correspond to the 1000 meters. On some of the rifles, there will only be to 8, which will equal to 800 meters. Now, when zeroing your rifle, and we'll talk about making all the adjustments from the shooter position, like when I'm looking down the barrel from this position. So I usually do the zero when my iron sights are set to P, S, or some other beginning marks, which is basically so-called battle zero. Now, if you shoot with the rifle and your hits on the target are on the left side from your point of aim, so point of impact is on the left side from point of aim, you have to push the front post to the left. And I use very often this Magnematic tool. This is the best tool on the market for adjusting the sights, and it's nothing really complicated to it. All you're doing is you put that clamp over the front post, and then by adjusting the tension with the lever, you basically are pushing drum from the front post to the desired direction. So as I said, if your point of impact is on the left side from your point of aim, the front post has to go to the left side. If it's on the right side, you guessed correctly, it should go to the right side. Nothing mind-blowing, right? If you need more information about zeroing and how to zero the rifle and different ways of zeroing the rifle, I highly recommend you to pick up the AK Bootcamp book, where you have different types of the zero for the different ammunition and things like this. But to keep it simple, if you want to have some basic zero it from 25 yards, and you should have a fairly good zero, more or less on the human size target up to 300 yards without adjusting the slider. Now, if you would like to do it really like to have the corresponding values on the slider to the distance, you should zero it from with the settings at 100 meters, and zero the point of impact should be equal to the point of aim at the 100 meters, which roughly will be 109 yards. But as I said, watch the video about the iron sights zeroing. I will put the link underneath of that video if you want to learn more, or again, shameless plug for the AK Bootcamp book, which will give you a good zeros and good ways to zero your rifle. But as far as adjusting the iron sights on the AK rifle, that's pretty much it. This is how we do it, nothing complicated to it, and to remember to have a good tool for it. Now, what are the most common problems with adjusting the iron sights? This drum could be stuck, you know, really badly in that front post. So if you don't have a good tool, one of the methods could be that you can put the empty casing, and I don't have a, do I have an empty casing somewhere here? Yes, I do. You can put the empty casing on the side and use the rack. Basically you will do it like this, and you will punch it from the top, and this will push the front post one way or another. Of course you can do it from both sides. If this will not help, if you are finding that drum being still stuck inside the front post, another trick will be basically to dump the magazine quickly, warm it up, and then try to do the adjustments. Just remember that whole area will be extremely hot. Don't burn yourself. All right? So pretty much for the brand new rifle, for the basics, that would be it, guys. That covers most of the subject. If you are wondering what is this thing on the side, some of the rifles are equipped with so-called side rail. This is the way how you mount the optics on the AK rifle. And over here we can see this is a 3x scope, and you can put the optic. There is a belief that there is not much what you can do with the AK rifle as far as modernizing it, but look at that example. You know, it's fully pimped, and this is a very effective combo, so-called annihilator. I absolutely love it. I think so it's a force multiplier on those rifles, but also we have a BMS Mission First Tactical stock, and this rifle is basically a modern rifle. So that's it for now, guys. Stay tuned for more episodes about for the series. We'll go more in the details about working on the triggers, talking about the triggers. We'll talk about disassembling the bolt in the future, and upgrades, and what you can do with the AK rifle to make your life easier. However, as always at the beginning, I would advise you strongly to learn the basics and how to basically use the iron sights and get comfortable with the rifle, then start doing the upgrades. Thank you very much for watching. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I'll try to answer it as much as I can.